This is Top Accolade Global News Update. I am Abiodun Mohammed. Human Rights Watch said on Friday that it uncovered new evidence of the indiscriminate use by Ukrainian forces of banned anti-personnel landmines against Russian troops who invaded Ukraine in 2022. The group called on Ukraine's government to follow through with a commitment made earlier this month not to employ such weapons, investigate their suspected use and hold accountable those responsible. In quote, the Ukrainian government's pledge to investigate its military's apparent use of banned anti-personnel mines is an important recognition of its duty to protect civilians, Steve Goose, Human Rights Watch's arms director, said in a statement. HRW said it shared its findings with the Ukrainian government in a mail letter to which it received no response. Ukraine's embassy in Washington did not immediately respond to newsmen's request for comment. Ukraine in 2005 ratified a 1997 international treaty banning such mines and mandating the destruction of stocks of the weapons. Russia did not join the treaty, and its use of anti-personnel mines violates international humanitarian law because they are inherently indiscriminate, the report said. Anti-personnel mines are detonated by a person's presence, proximity, or contact and can kill and maim long after a conflict ends. French President Emmanuel Macron will convene his cabinet for a second crisis meeting in 2 days on Friday after the most destructive night of rioting yet in protest at the fatal shooting of a teenager by police. Hundreds of police were injured and hundreds of people arrested overnight, authorities said, as rioters clashed with officers in towns and cities across France. Buildings and vehicles were torched, storefronts damaged, and buses overturned. Interior Minister Gerard Damanin, who had deployed 40,000 officers on Thursday night in a bid to quell a third night of unrest, said on Twitter that police made 667 arrests. Violence broke out in Marseille, Lyon, Pau, Toulouse, and Lille, as well as parts of Paris, including the working-class suburb of Nanterre, where 17-year-old Nahel Hem, who was of Algerian and Moroccan descent, was shot dead during a traffic stop on Tuesday. Nationwide, 249 police officers were injured, authorities said. Macron will meet with his cabinet at 11 GMT in Paris, likely cutting short his attendance at the European Union summit in Brussels. His office said the president has so far ruled out declaring a state of emergency. In a tweet, Prime Minister Elizabeth Borne called the violence intolerable and inexcusable and reaffirmed her support for police and firefighters who are bravely carrying out their duties. At least 100 people have died over the past 2 weeks in Mexico due to heat-related causes as temperatures climbed close to 50 degrees Celsius in parts of the country, the health ministry said on Thursday. A 3-week-long heat wave this month strained the energy grid with record demand, forced authorities to suspend classes in some areas, and left many Mexicans sweltering. Over 2/3 of the deaths came the week of June 18th to 24th, with the remainder the previous week, the ministry said in a report on extreme temperatures. During the same period last year, just one heat-related fatality was registered. Nearly all the deaths were attributed to heat stroke, with a handful from dehydration. Around 64% of the deaths occurred in northern state of Nuevo Leon, bordering Texas. Most of the rest were in neighboring Tamaulipas and Veracruz on the Gulf Coast. In recent days, temperatures are falling as the rainy season has brought much-needed precipitation. However, some northern cities are still seeing high temperatures. In the state of Sonora, the town of Aconchi saw highs of 49 degrees Celsius on Wednesday. The International Monetary Fund (IMF) has reached a staff-level pact with Pakistan on a $3 billion standby arrangement, the lender said, a decision long awaited by the South Asian nation, which is teetering on the brink of default. The deal, subject to approval by the IMF board in July, comes after an 8-month delay and offers some respite to Pakistan, which is battling an acute balance of payment crisis and falling foreign exchange reserves. In quote, "Praise be to God," tweeted Finance Minister Ishaq Dar after the deal was announced early on Friday. Pakistan will receive formal documents on the deal later on Friday from the IMF, Dar told pressmen, which he said he would, in quote, sign, seal, and return by tonight. He had said on Thursday the deal was expected anytime soon. Pakistan's sovereign dollars bonds rallied sharply across the curve in early European trade, with the 2025 issue enjoying the biggest gains, up 4.7 cents to trade at 52 cents in the dollar, according to TradeWeb data. the country's domestic stock and currency markets were closed on Friday, with sky-high inflation and foreign exchange reserves barely enough to cover 1 month of controlled import. Analysts say Pakistan's economic crisis could have spiraled into a debt default in the absence of an IMF deal. Oil prices rose towards $75 a barrel on Friday, but were on course for a fourth consecutive quarter of losses amid concerns over sluggish global economic activity and fuel demand. Benchmark Brent crude futures for September delivery rose 53 cents or 0.7% to stand at $75.04 as of 8:27 GMT. The less traded front-month contract, which expires on Friday, was up 52 cents at $74.86. The contract was on track for a 6.5% decline in the 3 months to the end of June, marking a fourth straight quarterly decline. Prices are at their lowest in 2 years. US West Texas Intermediate crude (WTI) rose 45 cents or 0.6% to $701.31. The contract is down more than 7% on a quarterly basis, its second consecutive quarterly drop. Inflationary pressure and rising interest rates in key economies and a slower than expected recovery in Chinese manufacturing and consumption have weighed on markets in recent months, but signs of strengthening US economic activity and sharp declines in US oil inventories offered support. The US Energy Information Administration (EIA) said crude inventories fell by 9.6 million barrels in the week ended June 23rd, far exceeding the 1.8 million barrel draw analysts had forecast in a Reuters poll. That is the size of top accolade global news update. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy weekend.